Someone asked me if I could put together an action bar for one-handed with shield melee so that you could AFK, ideally without food, but primarily without prayer potions and not have to bank. That would allow for infinite AFK with one click per 10-minute input. Ideally, that's what we're going for. So I thought I'd record myself trying to come up with some kind of action bar that would work to give an insight into my process and what I'm thinking as I'm ordering the abilities. First and foremost, I think Meteor Strike is going to be, of course, very useful because it generates 4.5% adrenaline per tick. Now, if I finish a kill with Meteor Strike and use Regenerate or Auto Regenerate so that I'm not clicking it, I'm going to drain my adrenaline but also be gaining it back at the same time. And I think you can restore like 4k health with that. And doing that each kill is going to be huge. So my mind is going towards finishing the kill with Meteor Strike and then just building up slowly towards that throughout the kill using less powerful thresholds. I don't think we're going to be able to use Assault in this bar simply because the cooldown is so short. We're just not going to be able to get up to 60% adrenaline to use Meteor Strike. Interestingly, it seems like we can use Adaptive Strike as a one-handed with a shield ability. Yeah, that's good to know. Does it tell us anything more? 120 to 140% ability damage. I think this is good to know because it's going to build 12% adrenaline with each hit, which is more than the other basics. So I think that's going to be the core of our rotation. Also the bleeds, of course, restoring your health as you go is going to be very useful. We won't have access to Hurricane or Flurry because that needs two-handed or dual-wield setups. But we can use our defensive thresholds. Devotion doesn't do anything against KBD. Revenge is good. Reflect is good, and so is Debilitate. And of course, Rejuvenate might be needed as well, but that will only happen every few kills. So we'll shoot for something without Rejuvenate at the beginning and see if we can put it in later. So, over to Google Sheets, and I know that Adaptive Strike is going to activate every 9 ticks. So I'm just going to paste that in a handful of times. What's 27 plus 9? 36. That sounds about right. And we'll go up to... We'll go up to 90. 90 ticks is 54 seconds. I don't think the kills are going to take that long. And then we've got some ability in each of the gaps. I probably should have just copy-pasted this, shouldn't I? Keep going down. Perfect. So I think all the abilities we're using are 3-tick abilities. Since we're not touching Assault, maybe we could put it in, but we'll see. So at the moment, this is going to build 12 adrenaline, and then this is going to be some other basic, and that will build to 21%, and then of course we're going to have to use a basic again. And now we're at the point where we can start thinking about using thresholds, or rather enhanced abilities. They are called enhanced abilities, aren't they? Yes, they're not thresholds anymore. But of course, Adaptive Strike is at the start of our bar, so that's going to be prioritized. And then this will be some threshold. And yeah, we'll just call it a threshold for now, and that'll be minus 25, won't it? In fact, let's make it Dismember, which does not generate adrenaline, but the second cast, Slaughter, will take 25 adrenaline, so that brings us down to 17, if my maths is correct. Then Adaptive Strike comes back around and we're up to 29, and we can then use the third cast of Dismember, Massacre, which takes us down to 4. And now we're building up adrenaline again. This will be some kind of basic that will take us to 13, 25. And then do we want to get another threshold, or rather enhanced ability going? Or do we want to keep building adrenaline? I'm going to go with more adrenaline, simply because there's nothing else that we can use. Dismember's going to be on cooldown, and we don't have any other melee thresholds, enhanced abilities. The defensive abilities are thresholds still, so we'll need 50% adrenaline for that. So this is going to be 43, and then 52. And this will be some threshold ability, potentially, unless Dismember has come off cooldown. Let's find out how long that is. 24 seconds, so that sounds to me like 40 ticks. So Dismember will be available again at 52. Adaptive Strike will get chosen over it, because Adaptive Strike's at the start of the bar, so this might be Dismember here. Question mark over that. So Threshold will bring us down to 37, because the thresholds only cost 15% rather than 25%. This has to be some basic, 46%, and then Adaptive Strike brings us up to 58. And we can use some other threshold again, one of the other defensive thresholds. Let's go with that. And 58 minus 15 takes us down to 43 by the sounds of things. This again will have to be a basic, 52, 64. And now that we're at 64, this could be Meteor Strike, and I think 57 ticks rather, that's like 36 seconds. That may be towards the end of the kill. So Threshold, or rather Meteor Strike would activate. We'd be back down to using Dismember, and then we'd be building up, and then maybe Slaughter and Massacre go here. But we don't necessarily know if the kill's going to be that long. I think it will, so let's get rid of this. I think this is going to be Meteor Strike, and we'll pop that at the beginning of the bar. Once Meteor Strike is triggered, we're gaining adrenaline at 4.5 points per tick. And rather than try and work that out as we go, I'm just going to say this is Dismember. Adaptive Strike stays as it is because it's in front of everything else. Then we'll go Slaughter, Massacre, Adaptive Strike, and then whatever mysteries await after that. So at the moment, this bar goes Meteor Strike, Adaptive Strike. Not sure what's next. So once I get to this stage, I've sort of earmarked all the abilities that I want and where I want them to go. I'll have some guesses, and it is just trial and error at what abilities can go in here. So I know that Rend is quite powerful, and it's got a 17 tick cooldown, so it'll go at tick 3, and it will want to go at tick 20. So it would go in here and push Massacre down. So let's go with that. And I'm thinking that Dismember, of course, it has to go after these two mystery basics, so that would happen anyway. So Rend at tick 3, tick 21. Yes. Tick 21. 3 plus 17 is 20. Yes, okay, I'm not going crazy. 21 plus 17 takes us to 38, which would go here and bump our other threshold down a bit. So that goes to 61, and then 46 remains the same. So this is Rend. 39 plus 17 takes us to 56. And that's going to go behind Meteor Strike, but ahead of Dismember. So the next Rend goes here. adaptive strike. This becomes dismember, slaughter, adaptive strike, massacre. I'm kind of happy with that. Let's pencil in rend there. So then the next basic to fill the gap. Sacrifice is good, resonance is good. Let's check back in with RuneScape. We're still logged in. Fury is the next best offensive basic, I'd say, although Punish is also good. If we use Punish early on, it will get used again later in the bar, and that will be when KBD is below half health. So I think we'll go with Punish and see where that next pops up. It's got a 41 tick cooldown. 41, does that sound about right? 24 seconds, just 40 ticks. So 6 plus 40 takes us to 46. That'll get used ahead of our mystery threshold. I think, again, I'm fine with that. So this goes to 67, and our mystery threshold can go here now, which takes us down to 52. So I said punish, and that goes before 30 seconds. So I'm happy that that is going to get used and probably be beyond halfway through the kill. Good stuff. So then we're back to adaptive strike, and then we start using our bleed. So we're going rend, punish, dismember, and that gap's filled. That's used. That's used. So our next gap is here. Let's see if Fury works with its 25 tick cooldown. 30 takes us to 55, and that will get. Or Meteor Strike will be prioritized because it's further up in the bar, as will Rend, as will Adaptive Strike, as will Dismember, Slaughter, Adaptive Strike, Massacre, so it wouldn't get used again until here. But I think that's fine. Let's shuffle this across. I think that's fine, but we'll see. Next gap to fill doesn't occur until here. And I'm going to go with either Sacrifice or Resonance. Let's go with Sacrifice. And this does sort of put a spanner in the works. I'm sure that Sacrifice is only an 8-tick ability. Sacrifice. Sacrifice, let's check that. Did I say 8-tick ability? I think I meant 8 adrenaline. No, it's 9%. That's perfect. Okay, I think they might have corrected that since the beta releases. So Sacrifice is 50 ticks, so we don't really need to concern ourselves with that until 83, which is all the way down here. Sacrifice. Same again with Resonance. I think that can get activated all the way down. Ooh, all the way down here. Right? If I put Resonance after Sacrifice, it doesn't get activated into all the way down here, so maybe we don't even need it. In fact, no, I was getting ahead of myself. So what's next? We want to put in our mystery undecided thresholds. I think I'd go Revenge earlier on for its damage boosting effects, and then either Reflect or Debilitate later. And I can never decide which I like more out of Reflect and Debilitate. They kind of do the same thing in that they reduce damage for 50% for a time period. Reflect does no damage, or rather it pushes KBD's damage back onto it, and Debilitate deals damage, but since this damage range 20% to 100% is so wide, I think I'll go Reflect. But in the grand scheme of things, close to no difference. So we decided Revenge, Adaptive Strike, Punish, Mystery Threshold, which will be Reflect. Adaptive Strike, then Meteor Strike, and everything follows that. So, this is Revenge, and then Reflect. Let's playtest this. Meteor Strike, Adaptive Strike, Rend. Punish, Dismember, Fury. Punish, Dismember, Fury. Sacrifice, Revenge, Reflect. Get rid of you, get rid of you, get rid of you, get rid of you. Sacrifice, Revenge, Reflect. And see what happens, see if it does what I thought it might. So there's our first Dismember, which goes straight into Slaughter. And then Adaptive Strike, Rend, bring us up to Massacre. Still building Adrenaline. And then we hit our Meteor Strike. And then we just about get our second threshold off. This isn't doing what I thought, probably because I'm an idiot. Let us take a step back, copy the sheet. Can we duplicate? Yes, we can. So if I clear out all this, what are we actually doing? So Adaptive Strike, Rend, Punish, Adaptive Strike, Dismember, Slaughter, Adaptive Strike. I think that's how it goes. 12%, 21, 30, 42, 42 still. Now we're down to 27 question mark, 17. Yes, Adaptive Strike brings us up to 29. And then we go Massacre again, don't we? Which brings us down to 4. Is that what I said on the other tab? It's probably not. I said Rend comes again. Rend 3 plus 17. Yes, Rend does go there. So that brings us up to 38. And then we hit the Massacre, which takes us down to 13. Is that what I said? Yes. Does that reflect what we're doing in game? Adaptive Strike, Rend, Punish, Adaptive Strike, Dismember, Slaughter. Yep, Adaptive Strike, Rend, Massacre. So that's all hunky-dory so far. Adaptive Strike, Fury, Sacrifice, Adaptive Strike, Rend. Oh, I wanted Revenge next. But yes, we are up to 61%. So that would mean that our Meteor Strike goes off here, which is not quite what I wanted. In which case, we could, if we move Rend ahead of Adaptive Strike, do we get one less Adaptive Strike cast, I wonder? Rend, Adaptive Strike, because Adaptive Strike is 3% more than most of the other abilities, so it would bring us just short. Let's see what that looks like. Delete all of you. So we use Rend at tick 0 and tick 18 and tick 36, and let's go for the next one as well. That's going to be 3 times 18, 54. And then we go Adaptive Strike, which goes every 9 ticks. 12, 21, 30, 39, where are you? 48, 57, and we'll go one more for luck, 66. And then we hit the punish here, then dismember, and we're up enough adrenaline for slaughter. Massacre doesn't hit until here. Let's see what we're doing. So 9%, 21%, 30%, 30% still, 42, 17, 26, 38, down to 13. Yeah, we'll go with that. And then this will be Fury. Don't know why I put a capital F there. We'll stick with the lowercase theme. That brings us up to 22, 34, Sacrifice takes us up to 43, 52, 64. Why have we got more adrenaline? Oh, I've overwritten what I had. That was clever, wasn't it? 64 adrenaline at tick 39. Let's go back. 64 adrenaline at tick 32. Ooh. What am I getting so wrong in my counting? So we this was adaptive strike rend, but in this copy we're going rend adaptive strike. Okay, start again. Rend goes up to 18, 36, 54. Adaptive strike goes every 9, 12, 21, 30, 39, 48. That sounds about right. 57. And we'll stop there. Then we hit the punish, which comes back around at tick 46, which will get pushed behind adaptive strike down to here. And then we hit the dismember. Dismember, which will be slaughter here and massacre here. How are we doing? 9, 21, 30, 30 still, 42, 17, 26, 38, 13, Fury, yeah, Fury, 22, 34, Sacrifice, brings us up to 43. Now does this mirror what we had? Yes. And then we hit rend for 52. And actually, our thresholds don't get activated until we exceed 50%. So I could stick it between adaptive strike and rend. So adaptive strike goes there to build us up to 52. We use the threshold ahead of rend, and then rend goes here. Let's try that. We're logging back in. So we shuffle down, 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 down. Okay, let's try this. I'm hoping that Meteor Strike doesn't activate quite as early, and that Revenge cast will bring us below the 60%. So we're building up adrenaline again. There's sacrifice, rend, or adaptive strike rather. Threshold brings us down. Rend, adaptive strike, and then we hit the threshold. Sorry, meteor strike at 61%. Why didn't I clock that meteor strike would go sooner if that happened? Because I'm an idiot, apparently. Maybe if I just stick my next threshold in the same gap, what happens then? I'm going to have to reset cooldowns because I'm impatient. Here we go, see what happens. So we've finished off with our bleeds, then we start building up adrenaline. Hit the revenge. That brings us up too high, so we're at 61% before we're using reflect. Unless we shuffle meteor strike after the thresholds. Wouldn't that be curious? See if that works. So, a third time's the charm, or however many attempts we've had. And besides these 3 high adrenaline abilities, we're not impacting any of the basics. They're all triggering in generally the same way. So there's our first threshold. We do build up to 61%, but we release our second threshold. Hit a big punish, adaptive strike, then goes our meteor strike. And now we're just building up in a massive way with our second set of bleeds. And hopefully the kill finishes sometime around there. Let's be brave and playtest it on the hardcore. What do we need? Let's load up my KBD preset and switch things up a bit. So we're going prayerless, so I'm going to want Brawler's Hook. I'll stick with the potions for now and see what happens, if you'll bear with me. So I think that's the setup, and I'm going to do a public instance momentarily because I'm cheap. Down to 0% adrenaline, please. Thank you very much. I don't need to turn on my prayers beforehand because we've got the anti-dragon shield. Public encounter. Okay, the potions will be for the proof of concept, but maybe we'll find out that we don't need them. There goes the first bleed. We start getting our health back. And there's all our bleeds cast. We are taking a decent bit of damage. Revenge, that'll help us deal a bit more damage. There's the reflect. Big punish. And here comes the meteor strike. And then we start our bleeds again. And hopefully we can finish the kill in a fairly timely manner, so we're getting a lot out of our meteor strike. Rejuvenate. Okay, that seemed to work, but I guess without potions we'll be taking longer, so we'll be getting less regeneration out of the meteor strike. Why am I not rejuvenating or regenerating? What's going on here? Have I got that turned off? Take 2. Apologies. I do have it turned off. Regenerate. Perfect. Okay. Since we know it sort of works, we'll try without potions, although I've still got my buffs, so maybe I'm a liar. Back to full health, and in we go. And same again. See what happens. There's all the bleeds again. There's the sacrifice, a bit more healing. And then we start with the defensive thresholds. And here comes the meteor strike. Actually, I say I've got potions, but my levels are sufficiently low that at 120 you'd still be doing more damage than me. So maybe I'm comfortable with testing with potions. We'll stand on the magic tile so that we're auto-retaliating right onto it. And that looks to me like back to full health. Let's see what happens in the second kill. I mean, of course it's going to be identical, but... Oh, I forget that the respawn times are super long in public instances. Maybe I will have to go to a private instance. But then again, maybe I am too cheap still. Let's see how we do. Fingers crossed. Same again, and we're back to full health. And maybe after this kill, if we're feeling confident, I'll get rid of my buffs by entering a dungeon and then come back. But so far, so good, I'd say. We're keeping our health up. I'm not really sure how long these kills are taking, but we'll find that out when we do go into a private instance. I've changed my mind. I will get one. Let's cut that sapphire. Oh, 9.4k KBD. Ain't that fun? Off to Demonheim. And let's find our KBD gear again. Where's my good axe? Where's my anti-dragon shield? Where's my brawler's hook? Is that everything? I think so. In we go to a private instance. Now, if you watched my KBD tutorial that was released moments ago, you'll know that our kill time gets rounded up to the next 6 seconds, and then the next KBD spawns 24 seconds after that. And from there we'll be able to work out our kills per hour. And in preparation, I'm going to get my telephone out and open up the calculator so we can do this maths as we go. Now, I'm only 95% accurate, but that's because I don't have the spare time to get myself up to 115 attack or whatever it is. Big punish, very nice. There goes the meteor strike. And quite fortuitously, we didn't go up to 100% adrenaline there, which I guess is kind of nice. Lovely, 49.2. That is over 48. Would have been nice to have been under 48. So that is going to be 54 seconds plus 24 is 78 seconds for every respawn kill loop. 3,600 divided by 78 gives us, drumroll please, 46 kills per hour, full AFK. Do we prefer that over 60 kills per hour drinking prayer potions? For me personally, I think I'd take the prayer potions, but it seems, touch wood, like this is a working method, and we did it all live on camera for your viewing pleasure. I guess we'll call that a video, share it with the masses, and find out what they think. But this is promising, I'll say. Might not work at lower levels, but we'll see. Let's finish out the kill and then hit stop recording. Because I am down to 8k health here, but maybe we'll get it all back. And maybe I could just put rejuvenate rather, right at the front of the bar just to get that going whenever it's ready. Are we going to get back to health or back to full health? That was 51, which is still under... Did I say 54? I think I said 54. Or did I say 57? I can't even recall. Let's go with 54, because that is right. Not quite back to full health. Let's Yeah, let's shuffle everything down one spot and get Rejuvenate right at the top. Because I think if you're activating that every few kills, 78-second loop, so that will be every 5 kills still, because 4 kills doesn't take us to 300 seconds. Or maybe it does. Oh, that's nice. Let's get the calculator out again, see what happens. 78 times 4, because I'm lazy. 78 times 4 is 312. Okay, so we'll be activating Rejuvenate every 4 kills, which is of course much better than every 5 kills. Yeah, okay. And then the bleeds don't get released again, but we're still finishing the kill in a fairly timely manner. Yeah, I like this. I like this. Okay, we'll call it a day there. Thank you very much for watching.